So I usually keep my palettes in my nightstand here. This is just the nightstand that came with all my furniture, but I figured all of my medium and small palettes just fit perfectly inside that drawer. And then I keep my bigger palettes on top here. This little gold thing is from Target, just like a mailing organizer. And then that little silver thing that's keeping all the palettes, that's just like a kitchen organizer I got at Marshall's. But I wanted to show you guys kind of how I store all of my palettes before I take them all out to show you, just so you guys can kind of get an idea of where they usually live. But for the purpose of the video, they are all coming out to be cleaned and talked about. Alrighty guys, so this huge mess is my eyeshadow collection, and I have been so addicted to watching people's eyeshadow palette declutters and collections. This is just a collection. I definitely am way too attached to all of these palettes to get rid of them. I have a problem, let's just say that. This is way too many eyeshadows for the average person. I love collecting eyeshadows. Sometimes I'll keep them just for the sake of like a collector's item. So without me rambling, this is going to be a really long video, so I'm just going to go ahead and jump right in. Okay, so I'm going to try to move these out of the way so we can kind of start talking about one at a time. But that's going to be kind of hard because I have so many. A little disclaimer. My nails are atrocious and I didn't really think ahead to fix them, so please ignore them. I just really wanted to film this palette collection, and I'm really excited because I just got a couple more palettes and then I'm done. So I feel like this is going to be my palette collection for a long time. I'm hoping. I'm going to try to do a no-buy where I just stop buying palettes because this is absolutely ridiculous, but this is my thing. This makes me happy, so whatever. I'm going to kind of try to go about this in like an organized manner. I have like face palettes mixed in here, so I'm just going to start with those and then, you know, continue on from there. So anyways, this is the BECCA and JACLYN Hill highlighting palette. This is called the Champagne Glow. This is one of her first highlighting palettes that she collaborated with, and I love JACLYN Hill. I've been watching her since she was filming in her kitchen, so I definitely had to support her. And as you can see, I really love this stuff. I mean, Champagne Pop is honestly just like a holy grail product for a lot of people. And then I use this pearl shade a little bit, but this blushed copper here is not one of my faves, but whatever, limited edition, so I'm not going to get rid of it. I'm going to use it up and I'm going to cherish it because this is such a great palette. So next, this is the Stila Starlight Star Bright palette. Now, I have Kitten, which is one of their signature shades, this one here in the middle. I have this one in a single pan, and after I tried that formula, I really wanted to get my hands on the whole palette. Just because you get an option, this is such a pretty formula. This is one of the only highlighters I have that almost looks wet. You can see that swatch right here in the bottom left corner. I mean, these just are so pigmented, so soft, so pretty. If you are looking for like a wet looking highlighter for the summer, I definitely recommend this one. So moving on, this is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Contour Kit. Definitely an oldie but a goodie here. I've had this thing for a very long time, and I've kind of gravitated towards other things because I've gotten new stuff, but I usually make my way back to this. I've hit pan here. I'm almost going to hit pan in this middle section, but you really can't go wrong with this. I did a lot of research when I first bought this on like what contour kit to buy, and everybody said this one, so love this one. It's been good to me. It's kind of beat up, but it's one of my faves. So because I had the Anastasia Beverly Hills Contour Kit, I never wanted to pick up the Kat Von D one because I was like, why do I need both? But she redid the packaging, and that sold me. I actually picked this up today. This is actually brand new, never used. And I got this because of the VIB Rouge sale that's going on right now. It actually ends this weekend, so if I have this up today or tomorrow, you guys still have a chance to, you know, get that 15% off if you are VIB or VIB Rouge. But this packaging is so pretty. She like lifted it, so the old packaging was just kind of like flat, but now it's like 3D and it is so pretty. So I'm super excited to try this out. Now that I have both the Kat Von D one and the Anastasia Beverly Hills one, I'll be able to know which one is a little bit better, which one fits my skin tone a little bit more. But I'm just super excited to have this because, like, look how pretty this is. Like, I truly can't get over how pretty her packaging is. So I'm super excited to have this in my collection. Alrighty, sticking with the highlighter face palette theme, the next one I have is this Tarteist Pro Glow palette. And I recently picked this up. Tarte was having like a 30% off sale. And I wasn't really going to get this, but I figured 30% off, I might as well. So I figured it was definitely worth $35. But if I could change one thing about this palette, would be the packaging. Oh my gosh, like, do you guys see how much fingerprints gets on this? That's because this is like a matte black packaging, and then if you're doing your makeup or something and you have like foundation on your fingertips, this is just gonna pick up every little thing. But anyways, the actual packaging, or I'm sorry, the actual product inside the packaging is what matters, and it truly is a great product. So when you open it up, it's like magnetic here. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it like magnets shut, but it opens up like a window. You get these two really pretty double-sided mirrors. They're great mirrors. They give you 4 highlighters, a cream contour, and like a powder contour shade. These highlighting shades are amazing. I love them. I've actually been using that cream contour quite a bit. It blends out nicely, and then this sculpt powder right here on the bottom right is just such a pretty undertone. It's not too warm, it's not too cool, it's just a perfect shade for my skin tone. I'm really glad I got my hands on this. I just hate how dirty it gets. This is what this collection video is for, because then I can kind of clean it up, disinfect it a little bit, and make it look nice for my collection. Alrighty, so continuing on, this is upside down. This is definitely something you guys have probably seen. This is the BECCA and JACLYN Hill. This is her huge, like, face palette. Just called the Champagne Collection face palette. This has the ever popular Champagne Pop in it, and then she came out with Prosecco Pop, which is this other one right here, and then these really pretty blushes and bronzers. This palette is so, so beautiful. I'm actually really mad about this one that I hit pan, because this is limited edition and I won't be able to get another one. I mean, these shades are sold separately, but just in this pretty, like, palette, it's just hard to come by. It's in a really sturdy packaging, not gonna break, so I'm super glad I have this in my collection. This is the Kat Von D Alchemist palette, the Alchemist Holographic palette. Now, I was definitely not gonna buy this at first. I mean, the packaging is pretty, but you really can't capture how beautiful it is on camera. Truly, you can't. These shades just look like white, they look like nothing, but the minute you swatch these, I swear they change your life. She has like a really pretty detail here that she hand draws. Super glad I picked this up. Really, really pretty, and I mean, it's just kind of like a staple if you want that holographic highlight, so definitely excited I have this. This is by Tarte, and this is called the Skin Twinkle Volume 2. This is another palette that is absolutely beautiful and new to my collection. Got this with my little 15% off with the VIB Rouge sale. I've had my eye on this for quite some time, and I figured since it's 15% off, I might as well go for it. But oh my gosh, these shades are absolutely beautiful. I've swatched this palette in Sephora many times, and I just kept saying no because I had so many highlights, but I like this one a lot better than their Volume 1, or just like the original. The packaging is prettier on this one, and I feel like the formula just is a lot more beaming and blinding, and that's kind of like the highlight that I go for, so I'm super glad I have this. Definitely no regrets, but that VIB Rouge sale definitely broke my bank a little bit. You gotta have your Starbucks. Okay, let's continue. Okay, so I think this is one of my last highlighting palettes. This is another one that's new to my collection. This is the Anastasia Beverly Hills and Nicole Guerrero Glow Kit. I was not going to buy this. I was not even excited about it. This was kind of like an impulse buy after I swatched it. I had seen pictures. I've heard people say that it's actually kind of glittery and chunky, and that's really not something I like in a palette. And I know from just looking at it, these look kind of chunky and glittery, but it's so weird. Like, the minute you swatch it, I'm sorry I'm flipping you off, but they're so pretty. I don't know if you guys will be able to see. Yeah, you can see that. It's just absolutely stunning. I'm so glad I bought this. Plus for product, A plus for packaging. I'm super, super excited I've been able to play with this. All of these highlights are beautiful, perfect for summer, so oh, so glad I bought this. Alrighty, so moving on to eyeshadows now. This first one is the Kat Von D Monarch palette. I bought this a long time ago. This is definitely one of the prettiest palettes I own, and this is not available anymore, and I hate that about it. This packaging is stunning. The colors are amazing. I just don't understand why she discontinued this. I feel like the packaging is very, very heavy and sturdy. Like, you feel like you're actually getting quality product for the price that you pay. This palette is beautiful. I've hit pan on 2 of the shades. This middle shade here is amazing. Just like the formula of it is just, it's beautiful. It's buttery, it's pigmented, it's amazing. You can tell I use it a lot because I've hit pan. One of my favorite Kat Von D palettes ever. And then I have her Shade and Light palette. Now, this is her old packaging, so compared to her new packaging, which is like 3D almost, you can tell the difference. It's like a cardboard heavy packaging, and then this is like metal, and then it's like raised a little bit, and this one is not. But anyways, I've had this palette for a long time. She never fails to just kill it on her formula. I've hit pan in this palette as well. I love this. Shadows have a lot of kick up. They're kind of similar to the Lorac formula, so you kind of have to be careful when you use these. I know a lot of people don't like the powdery formula. They think it's like hard to work with, but I don't know, I don't mind it. I always do my eyeshadow before my face anyway, so I don't really have to worry about fallout. But anyways, if you were going to get this palette, I definitely recommend it. It's not in this like hard cardboard packaging anymore, but still I'm sure the formula is just the same. Alrighty, this is my last Kat Von D palette, I think. Don't quote me on that. This is her Pastel Goth palette. The packaging is absolutely stunning. She does everything by hand, and I think this is perfect for the summer. This is actually still in stock at Sephora. I saw it today, and she actually has it still on her website. But when this first came out, this was like an impulse buy for me. I didn't even think twice. I just, picked it up because I thought it would be perfect for the summer. I think she nailed this palette. Has the shades on the back, and just like a really, like a cute size. So I'm really glad I got my hands on this, and I'm gonna create a lot of cute looks with this. Alrighty, so this bad boy has some years on it. I remember when this first came out, the Instagram logo on your home screen still looked like this. It's changed now. They've updated it like 10,000 times, so it doesn't look like that anymore, but this is just like a really weird concept. Too Faced came out with this no filter selfie powders palette, which is like a light filtering photo enhancing powder. So what they claim to do is if you put this powder all over your face, they're almost translucent with a hue. So if you wanted your picture to have like a cool ethereal light effect, you would do the Moon River. If you wanted like a toasty bronze look, you would do this one. And then the sunrise one, you would just slap it on your face, and then your selfies are supposed to already have a filter on them. It's just a weird concept. I've only used it a couple times just to kind of see if it works. I don't think it does, but the concept is kind of cool. The packaging is cute, so hang on to it just for nostalgic reasons. So that is the Too Faced No Filter Selfie Palette. So this is a Morphe palette, but this is a blush palette. This is their 9B. And this is a really pigmented palette. Sometimes ruined my face if I just was in a hurry and I wasn't careful, because these are super, super pigmented. They will give you a lot of color payoff. So if that's not really your thing, I mean, don't buy this, but you get a lot of different options. You get like a nice red down here. You get some peaches, some mauve tones, pinks. I think it's a really nice palette. It's inexpensive, but again, just keep in mind that this can ruin your makeup if you're not light-handed with it. Sticking with the Morphe theme, this is the ever so popular 35O palette. I was actually one of the first people to get my hands on this when it first launched, and it was crazy because I didn't even have any problems with getting my hands on this palette. But after it sold out, I felt like a lot of people couldn't even you know, get on the website because the traffic was too heavy to try to get this palette. I think the hype has died down now, especially because they have like the all matte and all shimmer palette, so you can kind of pick and choose which one you want. But this is definitely a loved palette. I feel like Morphe shadows are super underrated just because of how inexpensive they are. But these metallic shades here feel so buttery. They are so metallic, just beautiful, beautiful eyeshadows. So if you are looking for just one staple eyeshadow palette with your warm and neutral tones, this is the one for you. And I think it's easier to get your hands on it now, so definitely love this palette. I just wish the packaging was a little different. But because of the warm tones in here, I use it even without the clear packaging. A video on my channel depotting these Morphe shadows because I feel like if I can see eyeshadows in the pan, I will use them a lot more. These are the 35T from the palette. I have a video, I will link it down below, of how to depot Morphe shadows. But again, I just picked my favorites from that palette and stuck them in a Z palette just because I will use them so much more if I'm able to see the colors. It's a Kat Von D palette, and actually one of my favorites. I don't even know if I can get this all the way in the frame. So this is the Kat Von D Mi Vida Loca Remix palette. Now, I am so glad I got my hands on this because this was the time when I was buying eyeshadow palettes like crazy. I had a discount at Sephora because I worked at JCPenney's, so I was able to get palettes during this time a lot cheaper than they originally would have been. Look at how beautiful these eyeshadows are. You get every possible shade you could ever imagine. Have your neutrals in the middle, so you're able to really create a full look with this. I feel like the shadows are super pigmented. Definitely her standard quality formula with these. The Kat Von D Mi Vida Loca palette, if you got your hands on this when it was available, you are super lucky because this is stunning. Alright, I guess I will stick with the colorful eyeshadows. This is the Urban Decay Electric palette. Again, we've seen this over and over again. It's been around for years and years. It's actually on sale at Sephora for like 26, 24 bucks or something. So if you were hesitant to buy this, now is the time. Palette's probably going on a couple years now, maybe three to 4 years. But still, the quality remains. Eyeshadow can last a really long time, especially if you keep it out of the sun, you keep it in a cool, dry place, and you know, you just take care of it. So I'm super, super excited that this is still available because, I mean, it's festival season. People are branching out with makeup now because of all the tutorials on YouTube. So if you need color, if you need vibrant color, neon color, this is the palette for you. And I hope that they don't discontinue this even though it's on sale because I feel like the makeup world is going to crumble without this. Everybody's going to freak out if they take this away. So get your hands on it just in case. Including Z palettes in this video. This is actually the Betty Boop Z palette, one of my cute ones. But I figured because it had all these rainbow graphics that it would be perfect for all of my color. No, this is Coastal Scents, not ColourPop. These are my Coastal Scents Hot Pots. These go on sale like twice a year and you can get these for 99 cents. And I think that is amazing because these are equivalent to Morphe eyeshadows, which a lot of people are familiar with. I used to have a lot more Coastal Scents, but I gave them to my mom because I'm super OCD, and if they didn't fit in here, I didn't want to keep them. So I just kept the essentials. I mean, you know how many green eyeshadows do I really need, but you know, essentials. So I guess I'm going to stick with the Z palette theme that I got going on. This is one of the new Z palettes. Has this really, really pretty packaging here. And I popped my ColourPop new Press to Single shadows in here. I can't even rave enough about this formula. I did not think they were going to be this buttery, this pigmented, this soft, this blendable. If you have not purchased or tried these Press Single shadows, please do. They're only $5. I don't know how they could get a formula this good for that price range. I truly don't. I only have matte shadows in here. I didn't pick up any of this, the shimmer ones or the satin ones, so I don't really know how good those are, but the mattes are amazing. This Z palette here is the holographic one, and this was my very first Z palette. So this baby was a favorite for a very long time before I started getting more. These have all of my Makeup Geek shadows in here. I have some foiled eyeshadows here too. A lot of people have tried Makeup Geek shadows. You know the quality, you know the formula. They're super, super awesome. So again, you probably have these, but if you don't, you should definitely try some of these because they're inexpensive and they're awesome. This is my last Z palette. This is my baby. Now, this was a limited edition Z palette that I got in the winter. I have glitter injection pans in here, and these are amazing, but they had some issues with people in the past. I think they didn't put preservatives in their products, so in a couple months you could start seeing like color shift and color change in these. But I think they went ahead and they fixed the problem because I've had these for months and months, and I don't see any mold is what they claim to have in them, but I have a whole swatch video on these, on this palette, so I will also link that down below. This is one of my favorite palettes ever. Just, it's glitter heaven, and it makes me happy because the OCD in me just wants everything to match, and the glitters, they just make me happy to look at, so one of my favorite Z palettes ever. Alright, let me move the next kind of round up in here. I can reach everything. Now, this was from, I think, 2 winters ago. This is part of Tarte's holiday collection in 2015. This is the Bling It On palette, and I love this packaging because it's glittery, but it does get dirty if you're not careful. If you have like foundation or powder on your fingers, it's definitely going to transfer onto this packaging. But anyways, this is a beautiful blush palette. This Tarte blush palette definitely has their standard blush formula. This palette has been good to me. This is one of my very first blush palettes I ever bought, so it's been around for a while in my collection, so it just makes me happy to look at and remember. Okay, I guess I will stick with Tarte. This is definitely a palette everybody and their mom has seen. It's a lot of people's favorites. This is the Tartelette in Bloom palette, and a lot of people don't like the original, and I've never actually tried it, but I feel like they're being a little bit harsh because a lot of people loved that palette for a very long time before this launched, and then all of a sudden this beautiful packaging came out, and then everybody decided that they didn't like the other one anymore. Anyways, this formula is great, a lot of kick up though, but the shimmer shades are amazing. You just have to be careful working with these, especially these darker shades, but if you really only like neutrals and warmer shades, this is really the only palette you really will ever need to buy if you're not a crazy makeup collector like I am. But the packaging is beautiful. It's very sturdy. You can travel with it. So definitely one of my faves. I don't need to talk about this one. If I do, it'll just be repetitive because everybody and their mom are talking about how much they love this, how much it's just like a holy grail palette for them. The formula's there. I mean, the only thing I would change about this is like this velvet packaging. Is this what we would call velvet? But it just gets dirty, and nobody wants to have to worry about their palette looking dirty when you spend 60, 50 bucks on it. But other than that, I don't need to talk about this anymore. It's just a beautiful warm palette, which is up a lot of people's alleys. So if you were on the fence about this, go buy it.